Distinguished colleagues, Federal University of Information Technology, Ikare, Akoko, Adjournment Bill. You will notice it didn't come back as Federal University of Information and Communications. It came back as Federal University of Information Technology, Ikare, Akoko Establishment Bill 2025, SB 289. So, long title on page 1. Those in support that this form part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Then clauses 2 to 10. Those in support that this form part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 11 to 15. Those in support that clause 11 to 15 form part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 16 to 20. Those in support that clauses 16 to 20 form part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 21 to 30. Those in support that clauses 21 to 30 form part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. On pages, the short title of the bill on page 22. Those in support that the short title form part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. On page 30, schedules 1 to 3. Those in support that schedules 1 to 3 form part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Explanatory memorandum on page 40. Those in support that this form part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate, we wish to move a motion for us to report progress.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, very distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that the Senate reverts to plenary to enable the chairman report progress. I so move.
The minority leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that move back to plenary for chair to report progress. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that this August Assembly reverts to plenary for the chair to report progress. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We revert to plenary to report progress. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole consider the report of the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund on the Federal University of Information Technology, Ikare, Akoko, Establishment Bill 2025, and approve as follows. Long title as recommended. Number of clauses 1 to 28 as recommended. Interpretation clause on page 29 as recommended. Clause 29 as recommended. Short title on clause 30 as recommended. Schedules 1 to 3 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum on page 40 as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Leader of the Senate, you may wish to move a motion for the Clerk of the Senate to read this bill for the third time.
Thank you, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues. I rise to move that the bill be now read the third time. I so move.
Minority Leader of the Senate, you wish to second the motion.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion that the bill be read the third time. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that having gone through the clause by clause consideration, this bill be now read the third time. Those in support of the motion have moved say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to establish Federal University of Information and Information Communication Technology ICARE.
A bill for an act to establish the
A
Federal
bill for an
University.
act to establish the Federal University of Information Technology ICARE Akoko and for other matters connected therewith. 2025 SB 289, third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Information Technology, Ikare Akoko, and for other matters connected therewith, 2025, third reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Information Technology, Ikare Akoko, and for other matters connected therewith, third reading taken and passed. Let me thank our committee on tertiary education and third fund and all my colleagues for their contributions, and pray that this bill, when assented into Act of Parliament, will further widen the scope of educational facilities available in this country and provide the necessary information to our people. All the students that will pass through this institution, because every university is universal, will receive proper education and grow up to become leaders of tomorrow, and people who provide the necessary security for the world to thrive long after we are gone. I congratulate all of you for this, and I congratulate the good people of Akoko Ikare for this new university. I wish them luck. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the second reading of a bill standing in my name on the National Assembly Pension Reform Act 2004 Amendment Bill 2025 SB 463. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Tuesday, 28 May 2024. Mr. President, with your permission, I move that the bill be read a second time, and in support of my motion for the second reading of the bill, I seek your permission to present the lead debate. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is my utmost pleasure and privilege to lead the debate on the general principles of the National Assembly Service Pension Board Act Amendment Bill 2025. The bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Tuesday, 28 May 2024. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the proposed legislation seeks to amend the National Assembly Service Pension Board Act to, among other things, revert to the contributory pension scheme, reconstitute the membership of the board, as well as provide for the template for payment of gratuity and establish a fund for the scheme and for related matters. This proposed amendment is aimed at providing a workable and pragmatic pension framework for the National Assembly staff, in view of the fact that the extant act has raised critical concerns regarding its implementation. Therefore, this amendment seeks to address all the inherent shortcomings of the act by restructuring the governance structure of the board and reintroduce the contributory pension scheme, as well as payment of gratuity in line with the federal government policy on pension administration in the country generally. Mr. President, my dear colleagues, the absence of the proposed framework has inadvertently affected the staff of the National Assembly who retired from service since 2023, as the board is yet to access the necessary funds due to the lingering issues that affected the implementation of the Act. Accordingly, the main objectives of the bill, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, are: 1, to revert to the contributory pension scheme by ensuring a transparent and accountable system. 2, to reintroduce gratuity payments that fairly compensate retirees for their service, aligning with best practices in pension management. And 3, to restructure the composition of the governing board to eliminate potential conflicts of interest and enhance governance transparency. In conclusion, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, it is imperative for the Senate to expedite action on the passage of this proposed legislation, as its intendment is principally focused on how to create a sustainable, efficient, and equitable pension system that serves the interests of both current and retired staff of the National Assembly. This is important because the welfare of the staff of the National Assembly should be a matter of priority to us as legislators, because the bureaucrats of this revered institution are the engine room behind our core legislative duties. Therefore, their welfare, as it relates to their rights and entitlements, is paramount and must be accorded the needed attention it deserves. On this note, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, I hereby appeal to all of you to support the passage of this bill for enhancement as an act of the National Assembly. Finally, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, in compliance with Order 76 of 3 of the Senate Standing Orders 2023 as amended, the passage of the proposed bill will not pose additional financial burden on the Treasury of the federal government, as the proposed bill is intended to merely correct some anomalies inherent in the extant act that makes it difficult for seamless implementation. I thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, for listening.
Deputy Senate President.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand to lend my voice to the intendment of this bill. Mr. President, one thing that discourages corruption among civil servants is availability of a workable pension scheme. Because if a civil servant understands that after he's done or she's done with her job and get retired, she will have something to fall back upon. She will have, that person will have, that servant will have a pension scheme that will help him or her to take care of her life, to take care of his life. So it discourages corruption. Having a workable pension scheme. Once you know you have workable pension scheme, you are okay, it will help you by the time you leave. Why you go into corruption? You won't go into corruption. You will be you will be contented. That contentment will be there. But when there's something different from that kind of arrangement, of course you begin to look for money. How do I enrich myself so that by the time I retire, I have something to fall upon? I can at least have amassed a lot of wealth to help me. So that is why it's good to support this bill, because this bill, what it intends to do is to rearrange and restructure the pension scheme applicable to the National Assembly workers, so that it will well put in place to take care of their interests by the time they get retired. Provide for gratuity, provide for seamless arrangement where they will be taken care of. This is what the bill wants to do, to make sure that everything is corrected, is rearranged, is well put together to serve their interests, both in terms of the scheme itself and the management of the funds. Very, very clear. So these are our people. They are the people helping us. They are the management. They are the staff that are helping us. So we must make sure we create a scheme that will help them. Because once they are well taken care of, they will properly serve us. They will do the best to serve the interests of this nation through this august body. So it is a duty on all of us. All of us. Don't stop listening to me very well, because it has to do with this.
Senator Aminu Abbas. Senator Aminu Abbas, take your seat.
This is a very important matter. A matter that has to do with our staff.
Senator Asuko, take your seat. Senator Zango Dora, take your seat.
So it's very, very important. We need to stand by them. We need to create a scheme that will help them. We need to look inwards, think outside the box, bring our experience. We have bankers here, we have insurance experts, we have the likes of Baba Adini of Lagos, chairman banking, well experienced. Bring your experience to bear here so that we can create a scheme that will help the National Assembly workers that will take care of their interests by the time they leave their work, so that they will not be looking here and there to see how they can help themselves with our funds. And they will not do that. We know they are good people. They don't do that. So my colleagues, please contribute and lend your voice to this bill. Give your own experiences, your knowledge on how to rearrange this art for the betterment of our workers by the time they get retired. Mr. President, I still submit.
Is there anybody that is opposed to this? Oh, is it Senator Manguno?
Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. I am lending my light weight, not heavy weight because I don't have heavy weight, to the second reading of this bill. Mr. President, this bill is res ipsa liquito. It speaks for itself, because what this bill merely seeks to achieve is to remove what constitutes a cog in the wheel of implementation of the pension service scheme as it concerns National Assembly staff that have retired, particularly the governing board, to bring it in tandem with extant laws that allows for seamless implementation of pension schemes. Again, what this bill seeks to achieve is to bring the National Assembly into the contributory pension scheme, and also to bring it in consonance with federal government guidelines on pension schemes. As the Deputy Senate President has rightly alluded to, one of the best ways in order to encourage civil servants to contribute their widow's mite and their best while in service is to guarantee their future, is to ensure that by the time they retire, they will not be exposed to the vagaries and vicissitudes of economic and social problems that is in the larger society, but their interests and their welfare will be protected and enhanced upon retirement. So on this note, I urge my colleagues to support the second reading of this bill. Thank you.
Any other contribution? Yes. Secretary. I believe strongly that nobody is opposed to this bill. Those in support that this bill be read a second time say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to amend the National Assembly Service Pension Board Act number 62, 2023 to, among others, revert to the contributory pension scheme, reconstitute membership of the board, provide the template for payment of gratuity, and establish a fund for the scheme for related matters 2025. Second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the National Assembly Service Pension Board Act number 62/2023 to, among others, revert to the contributory pension scheme, reconstitute the membership of the board, provide a template for payment of gratuity, and establish a fund for the scheme, and for related matters 2025 second reading taken. The bill is now referred to the Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matters to revert to the Senate in 4 weeks. Well, thank you for your contribution, but this is one bill that we must open our eyes to look at, because it's for the benefit of our staff, and then make sure that we get their inputs to know the best way forward, because it's been in contention since we resumed in 2023, and as I speak now, even the pension board has not been constituted, and I know that billions and billions are lying, and then a lot of the staff who retired, some of them are sick, some have died without collecting their pensions and gratuities. So it's something we need to look at very fast and take a decision that will be in the overall interest of the staff of the National Assembly. So I would like to get more inputs from the staff affected, and then also from the management perspective, and why we must go from one to the other without even constituting the board. So I hope many of you are going to brief me, and you can get your association to also meet me privately in the office to make their contributions even before you go for any public hearing. Leader of the Senate.
Order.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues,
Take your seat.
the fourth order of the day is the second reading of the Proceeds of Crime Act Repeal and Enactment Bill 2025 SB 343. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Wednesday, 14th February 2024. Mr. President, you may wish to invite most distinguished Senator Adebule Idiat Oluranti to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Yes. Distinguished Senator Adebule Idiat Oluranti.
Mr. President, my name is Idiat Oluranti Adebule. I represent the good people of Lagos West. It's indeed my pleasure to lead the debate on the Proceeds of Crime Recovery Management Bill 2025 SB 343. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on a bill for an act to amend the Proceeds of Crime Recovery and Management Act 2022, number 16. The bill, among other things, seeks to establish an agency to manage assets and properties reasonably suspected to have been derived from unlawful activities, to create transparency, accountability, and to ensure adequate protection for the recovery items. Paragraph 2, paragraph 3 talks about the background to the bill in question. And so, I will go to the fourth paragraph. This overlapping responsibility make efficiency. However, this enormous responsibility in the Proceeds of Crime Act 2022 has been assigned to different agencies of government in Section 4 of the Act. These agencies refers to in the Act as relevant organizations are all charged with the responsibility to investigate, detect, identify, and recover assets and prosecute the unlawful activities as contained in Section 2, 3, and 4. By these provisions, Mr. President, in the overlapping of these roles of this investigator, prosecutor, executor, and exercising powers of recovery and management of proceeds of crime. This overlapping responsibility make efficiency, transparency, and accountability difficult in the discharge of the core mandate of these relevant agencies, thereby depriving our country of the full benefit of establishing them. It also makes it difficult to have standardized mode of engagement on recovery and management of these assets across the 18 organizations. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is against this background that I present this amendment bill, which seeks to divest the function of recovery and management of proceeds of crime from the core functions of those 18 organizations to give them effectiveness, efficiency, and focus. The authority granted these 18 relevant agencies listed in Section 82, which include the EFCC, Nigerian Customs Services, ICPC, and other coalition of different law enforcement and security entities, enabled each organization to create proceeds of crime directories that operates and deal with recovered proceeds of crime independently without proper coordination and standardization. This situation is therefore a sure path. Is it a sure path? Is therefore a sure path to manage all assets? Yes, thank you. Consequently, this subsisting coordinated environment presents a fertile ground for corruption and abuse of the process adopted in the management of recovered assets, which is decried by Nigerians at different times when expressing their frustration about transparency and accountability in the management of recovered process of crime, thereby lending credence to the position canvassed by this bill that the management of process of crime should be separated from the duties of agencies responsible for the investigation, prosecution, and recovery of proceeds of crime assets. To this end, this amendment hopes to ensure transparency, check and balances in the management of recovered assets designated as proceeds of crime, as well as the introduction of policies and guiding principles that create unified regulations and processes for the management and disposal of the forfeited assets. Establish an agency vested with the administration and management of forfeited or recovered assets and properties designated as proceeds of crime. This centralization agency will be charged with the responsibility to collaborate with the directorates of proceeds of crime in the 18 agencies of government. Distinguished colleagues, to further strengthen the Proceeds of Crime Act with amendments that will provide for the creation of a data bank for all assets and properties that are proceeds of crime forfeited to the federal government of Nigeria under an automated forfeited asset management system. This provision will be a significant addition to an automated asset forfeited management system that will restore information about all the assets and properties that are proceeds of crime in a way that will grant control accessibility to authorized institutions and agencies for the promotion of effectiveness, efficiency, transparency, and accountability. Furthermore, the bill advocates that the function of the relevant agencies should stop at investigation, prosecution, and recovery of assets and properties that are proceeds of crime, while the effective holding, management, disposal of the recovery assets and properties should be discharged through an independent agency of government charged with responsibility under the Act. It must be mentioned that the provision of the Section 3E that mandates the 18 agencies to work with the Federal Ministry of Justice is limited only to negotiating the repatriation of all assets seized from foreign countries and does not satisfactorily address the issue of effectiveness, efficiency, transparency, and accountability. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, it's imperative at this juncture to reference that the amendment being sought for the proceeds of crime recovery, management, and disposal of recovered assets of crime is mirroring the practice in several other jurisdictions like the United Kingdom, United States, Australia, and South Africa, to mention a few, where recovered assets that are proceeds of crimes are managed in more organized manner with effectiveness, efficiency, transparency, and accountability. These are examples of countries that have separated the responsibilities of prosecution of illicit activities and recovered of assets that are proceeds of crime from the management and disposal as being proposed by this POCA amendment bill. Mr. President, distinguished members, the speedy passage of this bill, with your support, will not only confirm our readiness to strengthen and refocus the country institutions charged with the responsibility of prevention, detection, and prosecution of illicit and corrupt practices, but will also ensure that monies and assets recovered from such activities that are proceeds of crimes are accounted for, managed judiciously, and plowed back to the economy for the growth and development of our country. In conclusion, Mr. President, dear colleagues, I thank you all for your kind attention and solicit your support for the second reading of this bill. I so submit.
Thank you, Senator Abdul-Lingi. You have the floor to make your contribution in respect of this bill. You have 2 minutes to do that.
And I have Mr. President. My name is Senator Abdul-Lingi, and I represent Bauchi Central of Bauchi State. Mr. President, let me personally express my profound gratitude and commendation to Senator Idiot for this well-lucid, well-researched presentation of this bill. Mr. President, this, of course, is the heart of the matter. Mr. President, over the years, with the establishment of ICPC, EFCC, the police, the custom, and other 18 agencies listed, it has been almost problematic, almost impossible to be able to identify proceeds of crimes in respect of properties, in respect of monies, in respect of recoveries. There is no joint effort by these agencies in bringing about there is no clear joint effort by these agencies in bringing about to the attention of the general public of these identifiable proceeds that have been given, that have been collected from financial crimes. We don't know as yet, even with the position of the Constitution in Section 88, which empowers the National Assembly to be able to identify these proceeds. We have not, in the course of time, in the last 15 years, Mr. President, have been able to do a very diligent job on this. Nobody knows how many properties recovered, from where, by who, and how much is auctioned. All we work of here is that property A, B, C, D have been recovered by either ICPC, by EFCC, by the police, by the custom, and we don't even know where the proceeds goes. Severally, in the course of this assignment, of a legislative assignment, we had cause, Mr. President, to raise observation and objections and the way and manner process of crime is being dispersed in this country. All that you do here is that when a particular property is auctioned, when the particular money is recovered, that it has been transmitted to the national account.
Thank you very much. Your time is up because we are...
Mr. President, this is laudable, this is commendable, and the chair should be able to commend Idiot for bringing this bill because it's the heart of the matter. I so submit.
Thank you. We'll now yield the floor to the Chief Whip, then Senator Sani Musa, and then Senator Emmanuel Odende, and then Senator Issa Jibril will round up so that we can move to, we can read the bill for a second time. So, the Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished senators. My name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. Mr. President, this bill is very, very noble. Noble in the sense that it's very, very unique. What it seeks to achieve is to separate all the anti-graft agencies from being the investigators, the prosecutors, and also being in custody of the proceeds of crime. That system is very, very messy. So what this bill seeks to do is to separate the management of the proceeds of crime from the 18 other agencies that are responsible for this, so that a single agency will be responsible for that. And it will go a long way in bringing transparency in the operation of the system. And she has also alluded to the fact that it is already applicable in other jurisdictions, in other climes, like the United Kingdom, the United States of America, and what have you. So what this bill seeks to do is to also bring our own system in tandem with international best practice. I therefore second the second reading of this bill.
Thank you very much, Senator Sani Musa. I have 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also stand to support this bill because if you look at what is happening in other countries, my name is Senator Mohammed Sani Musa, representing Niger East Senatorial District. Mr. President, I stand to support this bill. And the support I have for this bill is that we should look at our existing laws, strengthen them, especially in areas of recovery and management of process of crime. When an agency, example like the EFCC, ICPC, have been able to recover proceeds from illegalities, it is important that we strengthen those acts, that if those monies are collected, those monies should automatically go into the purse of the federal government. And if it is a recovery done for a state, that money should automatically go to that state. I don't think there is need for us to create an agency to manage recovery of proceeds. But the existing laws that we have should be strengthened. Where necessary, we should amend so that all proceeds of crime should not be retained by those agencies that maybe went to the courts and were able to get these either properties, monies, or what have you. But whatever they are able to recover, we should make it as a law. Once it is declared proceeds of recovery, it should go to the states or the federal government. And this is my take.
Thank you, Senator Odende. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Emmanuel Memga Udende. I represent Benue Northeast. I stand to oppose the second reading of this bill. There is no need to create further agencies. The present laws as established clearly empowers the various agencies that recover these monies. If it is money, it is domiciled with central bank in the account of the federal government. If it is money that relates to a person, it is refunded to that person. If it is money that relates to state, it is refunded to the state. Why do we create another agency when already we have several of these agencies that are feeding fat on the lean resources of the federal government? There is no need to establish a further agency.
Thank you, Senator Issa Jibril Oshocho. Have your own say, and then we take the vote whether to allow it to move to
Your Excellency,
the next stage or not.
Mr. President of the Senate, very distinguished colleagues, I am Issa Jibrin, representing the very good people of Kogi East. Mr. President, I rise to wholeheartedly support this bill, ably moved by Senator Adebule. This bill is apt. Okay, what she's trying to portray here is that there are leakages in the sale of these assets by those agencies that recover these assets. Okay, there are situations where these assets are sold to the staff of those agencies, and what she is saying that we need to block those leakages. Let there be an independent agent, okay, comprised of valuers and accountants that can get us the best value for these assets. We're not talking of utilization of the fund, we are talking of administration of the sale of these assets. I wholeheartedly support her, and I think this bill is apt. Thank you.
Thank you. I put the question. Those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Now I invite the clerk to move. The clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to repeal the Process of Crime Recovery and Management Act and enact the Process of Crime 2025 to establish an agency to manage the disposal of properties reasonably suspected to have been derived from unlawful activities and for related matters 2025, second reading.
A bill for an act to repeal the Process of Crime Recovery and Management Act and enact the Process of Crime 2025 to establish an agency to manage the disposal of properties reasonably suspected to have been derived from unlawful activities and for related matters. 2025 second read taken. Thank you very much for your contributions to the second reading of this bill. And also, let me commend the sponsor, Senator Idiat, for bringing forward this bill. I think when it's done in terms of its processing, it will bring about the sanity that we desire in the management of process of crime, for the interest of our country. Thank you for your support to this cause and your desire to make sure that Nigeria has the biggest, the most profitable bargain in terms of managing its process of crime. Thank you very much. The Leader of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, in view of the various other committee assignments.
Just 1 minute. Committee, the bill is referred to the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters to report back within 4 weeks.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, in view of the various other assignments, committee assignments to be undertaken by our colleagues, I'm rising to move that we step down the remaining item on the other paper for another legislative day. And if that is accepted, I then should be deemed to have moved that the Senate be now adjourned till Wednesday, the 21st day of May 2025. I so move.
The minority leader.
Mr. President, I second the motion that the Senate adjourns till the next legislative day. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion that we stand down all other items on the other paper and adjourn the Senate to tomorrow, the 21st day of May 2025. Those in favor of the motion moved by the Senate in disrespect, by the Senate leader in disrespect, and seconded by the minority leader, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate is hereby adjourned to tomorrow, the 21st day of May 2025.
So, does it now say?
Oh,